When what works takes over, or Pragmatic Mode, by the Mercer Journal. There is a point in some conversations where every explanation begins to sound like a delay. A pipe has burst, water is spreading across the floor. One person asks why it happened, another begins discussing water pressure, material fatigue, and the age of the plumbing. Then someone else walks into the room and says, "Okay, but where's the shutoff?" Everyone immediately understands the question. More importantly, everyone understands why the question matters. The conversation has changed, not because anyone became smarter, not because anyone stopped caring about the cause. Something else happened. The conversation reorganized. Most people recognize this experience. A deadline is approaching, a machine has stopped working, a customer is waiting, a family problem requires a decision. Someone continues gathering information. Someone else eventually asks, "So what do we do?" That question acts like a magnet. The conversation begins pulling toward action. Additional explanations start feeling expensive. New possibilities feel like detours. The pressure shifts. The goal is no longer understanding. The goal is movement. This shift appears so often that it is easy to overlook. Many people assume it reflects personality. One person is practical, another is thoughtful, one likes action, another likes analysis. Sometimes that's true, but the pattern appears too widely to belong entirely to individuals. The same person who wants a detailed explanation from a doctor may become intensely action-focused during a power outage. The same person who enjoys exploring ideas for hours may become impatient when a customer is waiting for an answer. The organization changes with the situation. The conversation changes with it. This raises an interesting question. Why does this pattern exist at all? The answer is surprisingly simple. Action often cannot wait for complete understanding. Imagine a firefighter arriving in a burning building. No one expects a complete analysis before the first hose is deployed. Imagine an emergency room. No one insists that every uncertainty be resolved before treatment begins. Imagine a construction crew standing beneath a failed piece of equipment while the project schedule slips by the hour. The problem is real. The consequences are immediate. Movement carries value. In situations like these, a workable solution now may be worth more than a perfect explanation later. The conversation begins optimizing for utility, not because truth stops mattering, because another constraint has entered the system: time, pressure, consequences. The organizing question changes. Not what is ultimately true, not what is the deeper explanation, not what principle governs this. Instead, what works. This is where many conversational conflicts begin. One person continues searching for understanding, another begins searching for action. Neither is necessarily wrong, yet both may become frustrated. One says, "You're overthinking it." The other replies, "You're rushing." The disagreement appears personal. Often it is organizational. The participants are operating under different priorities. One conversation is still trying to understand the problem. The other is already trying to solve it. Once this becomes visible, the pattern starts appearing everywhere. Field technicians, project managers, military operations, startup teams, emergency responders, parents trying to get 3 children out the door. In each case, there comes a moment where the conversation begins favoring movement over further explanation. The 9 Modes framework refers to this recurring organization as Pragmatic Mode. Its guiding question is simple: what works right now? The name is less important than the recognition. You have already experienced this mode. You have probably participated in it many times. The purpose of naming it is not to create a new category of people. It is to make a recurring pattern easier to notice. Pragmatic mode is not a personality type. The same person may be highly pragmatic in one conversation and highly analytical in the next. The mode describes the organization of the conversation, not the identity of the participant. Once seen, it becomes difficult to miss. A stalled project meeting, a roadside repair, a business crisis, a family emergency. someone eventually asks the question, okay, what do we do? And the conversation begins moving in a different direction. Pragmatic mode is often easiest to recognize because its objective is visible. Movement, progress, a workable next step. But not every conversation organizes around movement. Some organize around something else. The next mode begins there. The Mercer Journal is an independent, reader-supported platform. You can back our work at ko-fi.com/wemercer. That's ko-fi.com/WEMERCER. And thanks for listening.